Emma, a young nurse working long night shifts, rarely had time for herself. Life had been hard after losing her parents early, and she devoted everything to her patients. One evening, her roommate, Lily, begged her for a favor. "Emma, please," Lily whispered. "I can't go to this blind date. Can you go instead? Just for dinner. Pretend you're me." Emma resisted, embarrassed at the thought of pretending. But Lily's pleading eyes wore her down. Dressed simply, Emma walked into the upscale restaurant, heart racing. She expected an arrogant businessman, someone shallow, someone she could leave after a polite meal. But when she saw him, she froze. The man at the table wasn't ordinary. He radiated quiet strength yet a deep sadness in his eyes. This was Daniel Hayes, a wealthy CEO known for his empire but whispered to be a widower raising a little girl alone. Daniel looked up, and something softened in his expression. "You must be Lily," he said gently, though his tone lacked the judgment she expected. Emma smiled nervously, unsure how long she could keep the charade. As dinner unfolded, she found herself laughing more than she had in years. Daniel wasn't arrogant at all. He was kind, lonely, and longing for genuine conversation. For the first time, Emma felt seen. What began as a lie sparked something unexpected, something Emma didn't know she was missing in her own life. Emma had promised herself she would keep the dinner short. Just a meal, polite small talk, and leave. But with Daniel, time slipped away. He didn't brag about his business empire, nor did he treat her like she was beneath him. Instead, he asked about her work, her passions, and even about the little things, like why she smiled when the waiter brought extra bread. Emma found herself forgetting she was pretending to be Lily. She spoke about nursing, the long shifts, the heartbreak of losing patients, and the joy of seeing someone recover. Daniel listened with an intensity that surprised her. Most men she had met couldn't care less about her struggles. But he leaned forward, as if every word mattered. When Daniel spoke of his daughter, Sophie, his entire demeanor changed. "She's only 6, he said softly. "She lost her mother too young. I try to be enough for her, but sometimes—" His voice trailed off, his eyes clouding with grief. Emma's heart clenched. She saw the weight he carried, not as a CEO, but as a father trying to fill 2 roles. Before she could stop herself, Emma reached across the table and touched his hand. "You're doing better than you think," she whispered. Daniel's eyes flickered with surprise, then gratitude. For a moment, the busy restaurant faded. The night ended with neither wanting it to. Daniel walked her outside, hesitated, then said, "I don't know why, but talking to you feels different. Real." Emma smiled, her heart torn. This wasn't supposed to happen. He thought she was Lily. Yet something deeper had been set in motion, and Emma couldn't deny it anymore. The next morning, Emma woke up with a smile she hadn't worn in years. Memories of Daniel's warm laughter and the gentle way he spoke lingered in her heart. But almost immediately, guilt swept over her. He thought she was Lily. She had lied, even if it wasn't for selfish reasons. At the hospital, Emma tried to bury herself in her work, yet Daniel's face returned to her mind over and over. She told herself it was just one evening. He'd forget her soon. But life had other plans. That afternoon, a bouquet of lilies arrived at the nurse's station with a simple note. "Dinner again? I'd like to see you. Daniel." Her hands trembled as she read it. The flowers weren't even for her. Technically, they were for Lily. Emma almost returned them, but her heart betrayed her. She tucked the note into her pocket, afraid of what it meant. That evening Lily teased her. "You should have told me he was that handsome. If you don't want him, maybe I should go after all." Emma's chest tightened. The thought of Lily sitting across from Daniel, laughing with him, made her feel strangely protective. It wasn't jealousy alone, it was that Daniel had trusted her, not Lily. He had opened up about his daughter, his loneliness. But how long could she keep pretending? Still, when Daniel called that night, his voice warm and hopeful, Emma couldn't bring herself to confess. "Yes," she whispered, her heart pounding. I'd love to see you again. And so the lie grew, tangled with a truth Emma could no longer deny. She was falling for him. Daniel surprised Emma on their third dinner. Instead of the quiet restaurant, he invited her to his home. "I want you to meet someone," he said over the phone, his voice carrying both nervousness and excitement. Emma hesitated, fear twisting in her stomach. Meeting his daughter felt dangerously close to crossing a line she could never step back from. Yet, she couldn't say no. When she arrived at his elegant home, Sophie ran to the door, a small whirlwind of curly hair and bright eyes. "Daddy said you're his friend. Do you like stories?" she asked eagerly, clutching a worn-out picture book. Emma's heart melted instantly. "I love stories," she replied, kneeling down to Sophie's level. Within minutes, the little girl was curled up in her lap, giggling as Emma added funny voices to the characters. Daniel stood back, watching them, his eyes softening in a way that made Emma's chest ache. Later, when Sophie had gone to bed, Daniel poured Emma tea. "She hasn't warmed up to anyone like that in years," he admitted quietly. "Since her mom, she keeps her heart guarded. But tonight she wouldn't stop talking about you." Emma lowered her gaze, torn between joy and guilt. The truth pressed at her lips, begging to come out, but the tenderness in Daniel's eyes silenced her. As she left that night, Sophie's little voice followed her. "Will you come back soon?" Emma smiled, but her heart broke a little. Because she wasn't the woman Daniel thought she was. And yet, walking away felt impossible now. Emma's days grew brighter, though her nights were restless. She and Daniel shared countless conversations, and Sophie clung to her as if Emma had always been part of their lives. Yet with every smile, guilt dug deeper into her chest. One evening, Daniel surprised her with tickets to a charity gala. "It's important to me," he said, taking her hand. "And I want you by my side." Emma froze. At such an event, people would surely recognize her, not as Lily, but as herself. She tried to protest, but Daniel's hopeful eyes made it impossible. The night of the gala, Emma slipped into a simple gown. She looked beautiful, but nerves coiled tight in her stomach. As they entered the grand hall, whispers followed Daniel. He was a powerful CEO, after all. Emma prayed no one would question her presence. But fate wasn't kind. Across the room, a nurse from Emma's hospital gasped, waving. "Emma? I didn't know you were here." Daniel turned sharply. His brows knit in confusion. "Emma?" he repeated, his grip loosening from her hand. Emma's heart plummeted. Words tangled in her throat. She wanted to explain, to confess everything, but the disappointment in his eyes stopped her cold. "Your name, it isn't Lily?" he asked quietly, his voice raw. Emma shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. "I never meant to deceive you. I was only covering for my friend that night. But everything after, every word, every feeling, that was real. Daniel, please believe me." He stood there, torn between hurt and disbelief, while the glittering hall spun around them. For the first time, Emma feared she had lost the only happiness she had found. The silence between them after Emma's confession felt unbearable. Daniel's jaw tightened, his eyes shadowed with hurt. "Why didn't you just tell me the truth?" he whispered. Emma's tears slipped freely. "Because I was afraid," she admitted. "Afraid you'd walk away if you knew. That first night, I was pretending, but everything after was me. The laughter, the stories, Sophie, it was real. You were real to me." Daniel turned away, struggling. The CEO in him wanted honesty, but the lonely father in him remembered how his daughter had clung to Emma's warmth, how Emma's kindness had lifted the emptiness in their home. At that moment, a soft voice broke the tension. "Daddy?" Sophie appeared at the doorway in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. "Are you mad at Emma?" "Don't be. I like her." Daniel looked at his daughter, then at Emma. The walls he had built around his heart began to crumble. He walked closer, searching Emma's face. "You should have trusted me with the truth, but maybe I should admit something too. Since that night, I haven't felt this alive. And Sophie, she hasn't smiled like this in years." Emma's breath hitched. Does that mean? Daniel silenced her by taking her hand. It means I can't let you go, Emma. Not because of a mistake, but because you've given us something priceless, hope. Emma's tears turned into trembling laughter as Sophie ran into her arms. For the first time, Emma realized that love didn't arrive perfectly. It arrived when hearts were willing to forgive, to heal, and to hold on. And so, what began as a favor for a friend became the love story Emma never dared to dream of, one that neither Daniel nor Sophie would ever let go again.